everybody. I know it's been a little bit. It's been a minute is what the millennials like to say since we've seen each other. It's been a minute.
Oh, a minute. All right.
Yep, just a minute.
Cool. Just a minute.
Yep. I know it's been a minute since I've talked to you, but there has been a lot that's gone on in that minute. But first and foremost, before we talk about a minute and what went on, I would like to introduce Mr. Alan Ogden, the Glutathione Authority. Now, it's been a couple months since I've introduced him, so I know nothing about him anymore. I forgot it all because I take Promune. I have the best memory ever. Actually, I take Immunity. That's what I take. Oh my gosh. So, Alan Ogden is a pharmacologist. He has a degree in pharmacology or pharmacognosy medicine, which is actually the study of how to create and make medicine from plants. Which is one reason why I like to have a beautiful plant there represented, because Alan could take that and turn it into medicine. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. He also has degrees in geriatric medicine, pediatric medicine, 4 degrees in nutritional medicine. He has a degree in energy medicine, and then all sorts of other education that he did over the 40 years that he has been in the health industry. Really, in all reality, the list goes on because, as you know, for people that are in that industry, they're constantly having to re-educate themselves every year. And even though he is not currently working in a pharmacy, he absolutely keeps himself up to date as to what is going on in the medical industry, but also in the naturopathic industry as well. And so he's constantly doing research. I know he just finished reading a book that he's excited to share some information from. So I am absolutely honored to have Alan Ogden by my side and to welcome him back into the kitchen.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
It has been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, a couple months.
Couple of months. You had a holiday. We had holidays. We had so many family things this summer. It was just one of those summers where there was just, you know, I think everybody has them. We had a 40th birthday party for our son, and then it just went from there. There was just something with our family all summer long, and so summer went by very quickly, and here we are. We actually, last week, we were going to do an event. I still had family obligations, and so but everybody's back in school, and I know your kids are back in school. So Harmony, it's great to be in your kitchen, and for those of you who don't know who Harmony is and why we would be doing this together, Harmony and I got together. She had a concussion. We talked about collagen protein. We talked about glutathione. We talked about all sorts of things which helped her recover from her concussion. And I knew that she'd recovered because she all of a sudden started educating herself. And she took pranic healing. She took emotion code, body code, clinical hypnotherapy. She's actually a certified clinical hypnotherapist. That is different than an entertainment hypnotherapist. I just want you to know that.
They call them hypnotists.
Yeah, hypnotists. They're Ravine. Ravine is still around. I can't believe Ravine was a thing when I was a kid, and Ravine is still around. I'm not sure how old he is, but he is a hypnotist. And it's all about entertainment. Hers is all about healing, and she's written her own program. She's written her own book, and it's just incredible to be with her because when you give her a piece of information, she just is like a dog on a bone, and she's not going to give up until she knows absolutely everything about it. And she is right. My license expired in 2017, so I literally had a little party on August the 25th of 2019. That was 2 years since I had counted my, since I had been, or could count pills in a pharmacy. And the reason I'm really excited about that is I'm really tired of that profession, and I'm really tired, and you guys have seen in the news lots of things about that profession. Now, I don't want to down medicine because we have made gigantic strides in medicine, but in America today, we've become too reliant on medicine. We have this, we've been made to believe that there's a pill for every ill, and we really don't have to take care of ourselves. When something goes wrong, you just go to the doctor, he writes on a piece of paper, you go to the pharmacist, and he reads whatever was on there, or you believe that that person can read whatever is on there, and they give you something, you go home, and it's supposed to take care of it. And I want you to know that is simply not true. Medicine has made great strides. It's helped people ginormously. When we look at the statistics, however, the reason for escalating life extension is actually because we don't lose as many babies at birth, and because children aren't dying like they used to. People aren't dying of diseases like polio, measles, mumps, etc., etc. We don't have those that sweep through a country in the wintertime and wipe out 20% of the population. So we don't have those, and a good deal of that is to do with medicine. But when it comes to our own health, really we have to be the harbinger, we have to be the advocate for ourselves, for our own health. And I realized that what I was doing in the pharmacy was valuable, but I really couldn't do what I wanted to do, which was talk about health to people. And Harmony has provided me a platform, and between the two of us, her knowledge, her expertise in social media, etc., we've been able to do this together. And we're going into our 5th year. It's very exciting. I'm so pumped, and thank you so much for everything you've done.
So we have somebody who I haven't seen before just pop on, Carrie O'Connell, and she said, have you heard of NRF2? And I think it's really beautiful that you are asking that question. If you have a specific question, actually she's saying, check it out. NRF2 helps your body make its own glutathione by 300%. I really appreciate the fact that you're actually bringing that up because we absolutely do talk about how glutathione supports the functionality of your NRF2 switch. So how about you really quickly just go over that for our audience and for the benefit of Carrie Connell as well.
Sure. Yeah, Carrie, thanks for asking that question. There's actually a patent on one of the products that we talk about. It's patented. It was patented years ago because using amino acids to optimize your glutathione and having optimal levels of glutathione in your body automatically triggers the NFR2 gene. So there are some other things that can stimulate an NFR2 gene reaction. Generally, they're antioxidants. So you put a lot of antioxidants into your body, and the body reacts. So your cells actually react to the amount of antioxidants that are coming at the cell, and it does automatically cause an elevation in cellular glutathione. The cell is actually trying to protect itself from oxidative stress. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So it's actually a reaction, it's not an activity of NFR2. The reverse is actually true. Glutathione actually is the one that stimulates an NFR2 or can stimulate an NFR2 reaction. You can get it outside of that, and when you do it outside of that, using antioxidants, using herbs, etc., then you have a counter reaction in the cell, which you see NFR2 triggered, you see intracellular glutathione. What we talk about on this show is how you optimize glutathione production, actual glutathione production. So that doesn't actually do anything to build glutathione in your body. It just takes what the glutathione that you do have and it makes it reactive. And it makes it more active in the cell. And you can measure that. It can be 300%, sometimes it's 260%, depending on what herbs you're using or what ingredients you're using. You can do that with exogenous glutathione as well. Will cause a cellular reaction because there's resistance at the cell level to glutathione that's made outside your body, and so the cellular glutathione goes up actually to protect that cell from the oxidative stress of taking the glutathione apart and then remanufacturing it into glutathione in the cell. So there's only one place in the body that we actually manufacture glutathione. It's inside the cell, and then it gets excreted out into the blood from the cell. So cellular production of glutathione, from an evolutionary point of view of cells, it started there first. And the very first thing that glutathione was intended to do was to protect a cell and allow it to live. So a cell, the function of a cell is to produce protein, is to produce energy or heat, keep us warm, keep us in a very finely confined thermal area. Our body internally must be very finely confined, and to allow that cell to replicate itself. And in that process, you create what's called oxidative stress. And there's a difference between free radical stress and oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is a natural process that happens. If you don't control oxidative stress, then the cell apoptoses and dies. And so the cells learn how we don't know how they learn to bring 3 amino acids together and 1 mineral called selenium and make this molecule called glutathione, which became the mother of antioxidant stress. It became the mother of inflammation, and it became the mother of the immune response in your body. So we're very familiar with that, and NFR2 is a reaction that lasts for maybe 20 minutes in our body. It's a call to action by all of the immune functions in our body. And it's not necessarily a good thing to do all the time.
It's a response as a result of an attacker or inflammation or injury or illness or pathogens or bacteria or something like that invading the body. And so as a result of that, glutathione is actually responsible for turning the NFR2 switch on so that you're actually getting the defense system in play that is going to then send out whatever defense systems need to be sent out to defend the body and to heal the body.
Yeah. So great question. NFR2. The original research was done in California, and it's been corroborated. That's a hard word to say. Corroborated by 18 different universities that actually using amino acids to produce intercellular glutathione does actually control or can stimulate an NFR2 reaction.
So Carrie was saying, just in response, thank you so much, NRF2 reduces oxidative stress in the body by 40% in 30 days. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so once again, we want to talk about the difference between oxidative stress and free radical stress. So reducing oxidative stress isn't necessarily the most important thing. Reducing free radical stress. So the difference is oxidative stress is something we need. We burn oxygen. We are going to have oxidative stress. When it gets unnatural amounts in our body, we call that free radical oxidative stress. And those free radicals are molecules that have an disproportionate amount of electrons, and they're flying around and they're looking to neutralize themselves. And while they're flying around, they're actually damaging cell membranes, they're damaging tissue, and that results in pain, inflammation, sickness, disease, all sorts of things that we symptomatically can diagnose, and we can say, oh gosh, this person has arthritis, this person has diabetes, this person, and all of those have their root cause in inflammation. So we don't want to take away from the body's oxidative stress. We want to take away from free radical stress.
So the cells, as you were saying, just to recap, the cells as they are duplicating, which is how we live, are creating oxidative stress as they are duplicating, which is completely normal and natural, and we don't want to shut that down by any means,
no,
right?
As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that tonight with cytokines.
Perfect.
And part of what she is, she's been educated on part of this, but she's missing the part on cytokines.
Oh, amazing. So this is absolutely perfect that you're joining us, and it's spectacular that you're actually bringing this up for us because it's very much in alignment with what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I absolutely hope that you stick around so that you can learn some more of this, so that you can get the complete picture of it all. This is just great.
Yeah. So stimulating that reaction, like throwing some herbs in your body, throwing a lot of antioxidants into your body. So that many years ago, I was one of the first people involved in research in antioxidants. And we had no idea about antioxidant. We just knew that there was oxidative stress and free radical stress. We wanted to get rid of the free radical stress. So it used to be talked about as if they were synonymous, but they're not synonymous. And that's what we discovered just a few years ago. You might remember, Carrie, or you can go research, there was a value associated with the certain herbs, certain fruits and vegetables to reduce what was called oxidative stress, and it was an ORAC value, oxygen reducing absorbing capacity. So blueberries, for instance, you eat a cup of blueberries and it had an ORAC value of 8,000. So this was a number that actually was not from human research. It actually came from animal research, but it was assigned to different fruits and vegetables. And the idea was the higher the ORAC value of something, the better it was for you. And that went on for about 10 years, maybe closer to 15 years. We were putting lots of high ORAC value things into people. So there was a pill called Protandim, that came out on the market, and the whole purpose behind that was to put herbs in the body. It was to reduce oxidative stress. There was lots of products that came out, lots of different ashwagandha came out, and the idea behind all of those was that we just got to get rid of this inflammation and oxidative stress. We now know from other research that we cannot interrupt the cytokine's ability to produce oxidative stress. We can control it, but when we do that, what we're doing is we're allowing something called cytokine C6. We're going to talk about tonight. So there's a cytokine C6. That's really the cytokine that's gone wild in your body and is not allowing the inflammatory switch to be turned off.
Oh.
And there's a corresponding cytokine called cytokine C10. And cytokine C10 is the repairing cytokine.
Hold on a second. So is that like glutathione's arch nemesis?
Yeah.
It almost sounds like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
So
Sorry,
what,
I'm going superhero references. I can't help it.
I love it. So what happens in our body is we have this process going on, and we're oxygen consuming organisms. We
Yes.
can't live without oxygen. So
Absolutely.
the reason
Neither can this plant.
neither can that plant. And the reason we couldn't use the term antioxidant in Canada for many, many years is because it was anything antioxidant was considered counter to life, because we are oxygen burning machines. We produce our energy, everything we do. We eat our food, it requires oxygen. And so we recycle oxygen in our body. However, when the process gets out of control, and cytokine C6 is the most prominent inflammatory protein in our body, that's what causes decay. That's what causes the destruction, literally, of the cellular tissue. And cytokines, so glutathione, one of the most important things that glutathione does, optimizing glutathione through using amino acids rather than using antioxidants. So when you're using amino acids, you have natural receptor sites on the cells, you can absorb the amino acids, you trigger a synthesis process that's genetically controlled to produce glutathione. That glutathione then regulates the amount of oxidative stress to the normal level in a cell, so it can produce energy, it can produce proteins, and it can replicate itself. If we do something outside of that, and we throw a whole bunch, and I'm guilty of this because I was doing this, throwing tons of antioxidant in people's body, we throw the balance of C6 and C10 out. And when we do that, we get an underlying chronic inflammatory process going on. And it's really, this is what the aging process is. The imbalance between cytokines is really the aging process. And back in the day, we used to give people things that were 75,000 ORAC value per dose, and do that 3-4 times a day. And of course, they would feel really good. They would get relief from their pain. They would get temporary relief from that. And there would be a dramatic reduction in the amount of oxidative stress. Catalase would be produced. Bismuth suboxalate, all these things that we would
all the big words that nobody can pronounce.
Yeah, but all the things that we thought were really good as a reaction in the body, we thought, gosh, when we see these things happening with millions of oxidative stress molecules are being taken care of, this has to be really good for the body. Here's the thing, one molecule of glutathione can absorb millions of free radicals. So it was counterproductive. The research now shows it's actually counterproductive. It's not. That's really not the right term. It's actually to align ourselves with what the body does naturally and normally. Use amino acids to optimize your glutathione. That glutathione will then instruct your C6 and your C10 how to behave. It will actually. So glutathione is the mother of oxidative stress. So we would throw all these antioxidants into the body, and you get this counter reaction in glutathione, which we thought that's really good. What it was doing is, because glutathione is the mother of oxidation and handling antioxidants, it would have to do that to actually normalize the effect of these things coming into the body. So we'd look at the research, we'd see all these things happening, we'd go, wow, that's really good, this is awesome. And don't forget, I was in on all of this. This is really good stuff. It's awesome. We were not using amino acids. We're just using herbs. We're using other things, fruits, fruits mostly, that were high in ORAC score. And gosh, look at this. We can get this stuff all happening in the body. It's got to be good for us. Turns out, not necessarily. Now, it's not necessarily bad for us. I don't want to say that. It's not necessarily bad for us, but the optimal way is to build your glutathione. And actually, the amount of antioxidants that you put into your body is highly regulated by the level of glutathione in your cell, not the other way around. Even though some people believe that, the more antioxidants you put in, and you see this glutathione activity over here, that's really good. It's actually the opposite way around.
So if I eat a whole bunch of blueberries, like if I go ham on a whole bunch of blueberries, it's not just gonna up my antioxidants.
No, because if you don't have a corresponding, well, what will happen in that, it's like when you take a Tylenol. If you take 500 milligrams of Tylenol, your body uses your glutathione to actually neutralize the effect of that drug in your liver and excrete that drug. Your body uses glutathione actually to excrete all the drugs that come into your body. It's one of the things that glutathione is responsible for, is the detoxification of our liver. And so it's kind of the same thing. So you eat a whole, let's say you eat, what did you say, a ham?
I said I go ham on a bunch of blueberries.
All right.
It means I go completely nuts and eat like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, so your body only has the capacity to use the amount of antioxidants that correspond to the level of glutathione in the cell. Other than that, those things are quickly excreted out of your body. As a matter of fact, people that will go ham on stuff will notice that all of a sudden they need to either go to the bathroom, or they need to urinate, they need to do something, because their body is dramatically trying to reduce the level of these things in the body. So to throw water out of your system, out of your skin, out of your tissue, to try and neutralize and get this stuff out of your body. So these are finally, glutathione is actually responsible for 250 processes in your body. NFR2 is just one of those processes. The NFR2 switch is just one of those processes. There's 250 other processes that glutathione is responsible for in your body.
One of which is what is supporting Alan giving all of this ridiculous sciencey information right now. It really, really supports your cognitive function. It's literally like the internet of your brain and body. I got my brain back, my cognitive function back, my sense of humor, my ability to be able to learn and process and integrate information by optimizing my glutathione. And I did not do it by taking exogenous glutathione, which means glutathione that's produced outside of the body. I actually took 3 amino acids and a mineral in combination that an amazing scientist that spent his life researching put together in a proprietary blend, which then was put into the immunity. And I'm speaking to this because this lovely, beautiful woman, Carrie Connell, was just asking what we were drinking. And she actually asked if we were drinking Vera. And that actually was the previous product that Visa used to sell. And it had the exogenous glutathione. And the research leading up to the production of that product was really understood that it was okay to use that. Then some new information came down the pipeline that it's actually not the best way to go about it. And I think my son used the best analogy ever just recently that is so incredible. So if you take the Death Star, any of you guys that watch Star Wars, I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have, right? Except for Alan. Oh, he hasn't watched it. But if you take the Death Star, say you take like the big Lego Death Star and you give it to a child, what are they going to do with it? They're going to tear it apart because nobody wants a built Death Star. That's super boring, right? But if you give them all the pieces in order to be able to make the Lego Death Star, then what are they going to do with it? They're going to build it. So it's exactly the way that the body actually integrates exogenous glutathione versus the precursor amino acids. If you give the body the exogenous glutathione or glutathione produced outside of the body, it's going to take it and tear it apart. The problem is there are elements of it that are then unstable, and so you're only getting about 10% conversion, which is incredibly low, right? And we want a hell of a lot better than that. I know I like things to be 100% because that's just how I roll. So when you actually give it the puzzle pieces, so the Lego pieces, in order to be able to optimize its own glutathione, what's the body going to do? Well, just like a 5-year-old, it's going to build the Lego Death Star. I mean, glutathione. So this is a really, really powerful analogy. So it was really beautiful, actually, that you said it just the way that you did. And as a result of that new information, Visai absolutely loves to be on the leading edge of what is going on in amino acid therapy and in health. And so, of course, they immediately implemented the precursor amino acids into the blend that was Vera, and then renamed it Immunity and made it a beautiful purple box, which made me very happy because it's my favorite color. So Carrie, just to let you know, that is what we're drinking, and that's the difference between the Vera and the Immunity. And they did actually add a few more really beautiful ingredients in there as well. The coenzyme Q10 is a new ingredient. Is there anything else that's new?
There's a bunch of vitamins and minerals, and actually there's a couple of things that we've taken out of there, folic acid and some things that aren't really necessary to the formula. So it's a streamlined formula now, but it's, coenzyme Q10, it's got the berry formula. I just want to make a point though, we love Immunity, but we would be talking about amino acid therapy even if Visai hadn't have done that. Because when I went to New York to the Glutathione conference and learned from the guys, like these are people who have like Harmony said, they have lifetimes invested in researching glutathione. And I'm sitting at the Harvard Club in New York City. I'm looking at people who are in their 80s. A gentleman by the name of, there's another doctor there, I shouldn't give his name out. He's 90, and they have literally researched glutathione for years, decades. They know it inside out and backwards. And the one gentleman that was there, Dr. Albert Crum, who's the patent holder on optimizing glutathione and triggering an NFR2 reaction, that is a patented process, and if somebody else is claiming that their product is the only product that stimulates NFR2, they're wrong, and they're actually infringing on a patent that's out there. But I'm sitting there listening to all these gentlemen, thinking that I found something really wonderful in exogenous glutathione, and learning from these gentlemen that have years of research. There's one clinical trial on exogenous glutathione that shows some elevation of glutathione, and all the research that I had been exposed to, that's where it came from, was one clinical trial, and it was a very valid clinical trial done in Japan. There's nothing wrong with the clinical trial. But I was sitting with people one gentleman that I was with had personally been involved in 50 double-blind clinical trials involving amino acid therapy. Another one 35, another one about 50, he might be up to 70 now, the gentleman who's 90. These people have researched glutathione inside out and backwards, NFR2 reaction, the ability of glutathione to remove heavy metals from your body, all these things that exogenous glutathione cannot do. It's up to your body's natural glutathione to do. I was blown away. I was embarrassed. I have to tell you that. I was blown away, but I was embarrassed that I had literally promoted exogenous glutathione, and I wanted to correct the mistake that I had made in promoting that and promoting antioxidant therapy. I'm talking antioxidant therapy. When I first started doing antioxidant therapy, it was for my own benefit because I had a near fatal brain infection and I was losing my cognitive function and very quickly, and so I was taking anything I could take. I mean, my doctor and I were like in cahoots. I was literally open to taking anything that I could find and get my hands on. So I took herbs that I would not recommend anybody take now. As a matter of fact, St. John wort, I took lots of that, and now St. John wort has restrictions on the use of it. But I was, I'm losing my mind, so you're going to do whatever you can. And then I came across, not exogenous glutathione, I came across a natural process of making glutathione using amino acids, and it was magic. And so, once again, that's I want to talk about that, but I do want to get into this a little bit about cytokines, because that's what
Before you do.
Okay.
Rebecca Levy, who's also a lovely, beautiful new goddess that we haven't heard from. For any of you guys that are coming onto our live event and it's your first time, we do this every week. We did take the summer off, but we do consistently do this every week at the same time on our page. So if you like our Facebook page, you'll get a notification when we do our live events, and we absolutely love to interact with you guys and get questions and answer. And our main objective really is to be the trusted source on health, and to be able to educate you guys and, you know, give you that space where you can actually interact with somebody who is an authority on health and has the proper certifications and education to be able to back up what it is that he's saying. Me being a clinical hypnotherapist and an energy healer, so working more in the holistic space, and Alan being a pharmacologist, being certified in pharmacognosy medicine, amongst many other certifications and education over 40 years. So the two of us together, oh my gosh, almost 60 years worth of education and knowledge you're playing with. So it's pretty decent, I feel like, right?
Pretty decent.
We're doing all right. So Rebecca Levy, I just wanted to give you a moment to have your question answered. Tell me about omega-369. I used to take fish oil, which is horrible. Then about 9 months ago, I started with cold pressed hemp seed with natural 369. Is that the reason why I started to feel better? Those omegas 369 are helping my utilize my other nutrients. So she's kind of curious about omegas.
Okay, well, I'll just answer that question briefly. So omegas are an essential part of our diet, and omegas, we use fat. So the idea that we want to be rid of fat in our body is a very antiquated and outdated idea. Now, we don't want to have excess body fat, but we do need fat because we make all of our hormones from fat. And so we want to have fat. Where that fat comes from, however, and how our body utilizes it. So omega-6 was introduced into the food system probably in the 70s is when all fat was bad. I don't know if you remember years ago.
That started after 79 when the article was actually, there was a study done that actually that made the scientists come to the realization that sugar was bad for the body. And what ended up happening was the big corporations that were producing a lot of sugar and making a lot of money off of it decided that they wanted to make fat the villain. And so instead, they villainized fat, which is what created the fat-free craze in the 80s. And everybody went to the gym and worked out all the time and stuff like that, and everything became fat-free and double the sugar. So lots of people got fat.
Yeah, exactly. No, we tripled the rate of diabetes.
Oh, hey, Darren Grosnick, it's so great to see you. Yay.
We tripled the rate of diabetes in the country by taking fat out of food.
Everybody was stick thin in the 70s because everybody was taking Coke and completely working out like crazy, and it was totally hot to be super rail thin in the 70s.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So omegas are essential. We use omegas to make our hormones. Omega-3 is the most prominent. We need a little bit of omega-9. The body doesn't need omega-6, but the food industry loves omega-6 for a couple of reasons. One is shelf life. So when you put omega-6 into food, you can extend the shelf life. So they started sneaking vegetable oils into products, and they were allowed to do that. Health Canada, FDA in the United States, Food and Drug Administration kind of overlooked it, and we had all these omega-6s appear in food, and that was to give it shelf life, and it adds taste. It makes sugar more sweet in cookies and baked goods and so on. So using vegetable oil became a big thing. However, vegetable oils are not necessarily that good for us. We now know that canola oil and some of the others are actually, they go rancid in our intestinal tract, and they can cause all sorts of problems. However, when you eat things that have natural omegas occurring, so hemp has omegas in the exact ratio that our body uses it. And isn't it interesting that hemp was the most prominent health food and health food product until 1940, when a gentleman in the United States was funded by the US Congress to start a war on everything hemp and marijuana. And actually what he did is he made hemp sound like it was marijuana, which is completely untrue. Prior to that, we were making hemp clothes, Henry Ford made a hemp car,
that was fueled by hemp?
Right, fueled by hemp. We had fuel, we used hemp in everything. We used hemp for ink, we used hemp for paper.
The Constitution was written on hemp paper.
We used hemp in everything until the 1940s, and Congress funded a gentleman who went around the country and he started a campaign and he appealed to the Christian base in America, saying that hemp was from the devil. You can go back and read about this. This is true. There was ads on TV that hemp and marijuana were from Satan and they were going to ruin America. And they ruined America anyway, regardless. Anything you prohibit, people want more of. So Americans figure out a way to ruin themselves.
Prohibition is always a bad idea.
Yeah.
How many times do they have to do it to realize that it's not a good idea? Tell somebody they can't do something.
Yeah, they're going to do it. They're going to figure out a way, and it's anyway.
So the hemp specifically that you're saying, it's actually bioidentical and it gives us what we need.
I just want to clarify though.
Cool.
Hemp is awesome. Hemp protein is a complete protein. It's got omegas in it. It's a fabulous product. It just tastes like dirt.
It does. I have a hard time with it.
Unfortunately, hemp protein tastes like dirt, and it's really hard to consume. And I know there's Canada Food Services at University of Saskatoon is working on ways to improve the taste of hemp, because I believe that hemp is a much more valuable protein than whey protein, because whey protein has no fat in it. And we need fat. And when you get it in hemp, it's balanced, it has fiber, it's excellent for you. Hemp oil, on the other hand, you have to be very careful with. Hemp oil is easily oxidized, so it can easily go rancid. And we did a little test last summer, actually, here in Vancouver. We went to several health food stores, and we had a scientist with a hemp scientist with us, and we went and we literally could not find one bottle of hemp oil, almond oil, hazelnut oil, all these fancy oils that people were buying, spending really good money on, that was not rancid. And it's just, they're so sensitive to heat, they're so sensitive to light and handling, violent shaking and things, so they're just very sensitive. So if you're going to get your hemp hearts are great, I love them, yeah. I eat them. You can actually make hemp milk out of them. You can actually put them in a Nutrisystem or whatever blender. And
my birds get hemp seeds actually in their food on a regular basis to subsidize them and to give them natural oils and stuff. So
the bullet, you can use a bullet or whatever. You can actually make hemp milk. I've done that. Made hemp milk. Strain it through cheesecloth.
Sprinkle it on your salad.
Sprinkle it on your salad.
Yeah, lots of different stuff.
And it is very good.
It's stable. It's not going to go rancid.
And you are right that you are actually getting the proper omegas from. I am not a big fan of omega oils. I use an oil called Udo's oil. It's made here in the Lower Mainland. It's a very, very good, high quality. It's been proven over. It was put together by a gentleman who did the science on it, and it's a very high quality oil. Contains flax and hemp and a bunch of other things. I love that. I take it in oil form, not the capsule form, because once again, capsules have a tendency to go rancid more quickly. Keep it in the fridge, it's great. We need omegas, so hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome, thank you so much. She said thank you very much too. She really appreciates it because she says that she's been on a budget and she ran out and it was making her feel awful. So she said thank you so much.
Right. So let's go back to cytokines. So we have this process in our body called aging.
Oh, hold on a second. She said, what was the name of the oils again?
Oh, any of the oil. Like when we did our test, we checked hemp oil, almond oil.
No, I mean the one that you like.
Oh, Udo's oil.
I will look it up for you and send you the link just so that you know which one it is.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's fabulous stuff. So certain things happen. So I'm glad Darren's on here and others, and hopefully we're going to be able to wrap up cytokines here in the next few minutes and not keep you real long. But
oh, they love us anyways.
But in our body, when we get an imbalance in the cytokine C6 and C10, and I'm really simplifying this, we have way more cytokines in our body than that. And the reason I'm talking about it is it's another thing that glutathione actually influences, is the ability of the body to produce cytokine C10, which is the reparative cytokine. If we don't, if we're sedentary, in other words, we don't do much, and I'll define much for you in a minute. If we don't do a lot, and lots of people think that they're really active, but from a biological point of view, your body isn't interpreting that as active. It's actually interpreting it as sedentary. So you might be feeling stressed because you're driving to the office every day, you're working every day, you're coming home, you're looking after the kids, you take the dog out for a walk 2 or 3 times, and you're tired at the end of the day and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm very active. To your body, however, you are inactive. And when we are inactive, cytokine C6, which is the cytokine responsible for decay in our body. So,
like tooth decay,
skin decay. Harmony, how long does it take to replace our skin in our body?
28 days.
28 days. We get new skin. And you know, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm 66, almost 67 years old, and my skin is thinner. It happens to people. Now I know, right? It's a process of the cytokines in our body, and I can actually help my skin stay better using collagen, which I've done, so I don't look like a normal 66 or 67-year-old.
Absolutely not. He's Benjamin Button.
And gonna even get better now that I understand. I'm learning more about cytokine
Yay!
balance in our body. But if we don't become active, so what's active? Active to your body is a continuous activity for a particular amount of time. So like I said, most people think I'm active because I do this, I do that, I go to work, I do that, I blah, blah, blah. But if you're not active, first of all, you have to be active for at least 25 minutes, doing one thing at 65% of your heart rate.
Heart rate?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the layman term here. So when we're using our heart rate at 65%, and it changes for us by our age. So you take 220, you minus your age, you get a number, and you take 65% of that, and it'll give you. So for instance, my 65% is like 101 or 102 heart beats per minute. So if I get my heart up to 102, around there, 102, 103 beats a minute, and I sustain my heart at that activity for 25 minutes, it will actually stimulate my body to produce cytokine C10. Cytokine C10 is the arch enemy of cytokine C6. It actually...
Oh, that's the battle between the hero and the arch nemesis.
That's
okay.
Right. So C10 is actually the cytokine that says to C6, buzz off, baby, we're not aging yet. We're not decaying. We literally, we can slow aging, and I love how Harmony put it, smart aging, age smart. We are going to age. That is a process of life. However, we don't have to get old. We don't have to get immobile. We don't have to get sick. We don't have to get those things. It is all a matter of stimulating cytokine C10 activity in our body, and it telling cytokine C6, lay down, shut up, go home.
I like to think of it as creating those things because, like you said, when you're active for 20 minutes or more, you're actually creating that superhero that's actually
right.
Going and turning around and saying, hell no, we won't go, right?
That's right.
And so in all reality, if you're inactive and you're not taking care of yourself, then you are creating the aging. You're creating that process that's telling your body to slow down.
So I read about this in a book called Fit or Fat years ago, and I didn't register until I started studying cytokines. But he said in that book that you had to exercise for at least 25 minutes and get your second wind. We all know what that, you that feeling. You're exercising, a little while, it's a little sludgy at the start, you're not really getting into it, and then all of a sudden, boom, your body changes. It's like, I could do this, I can do this, I can went out for a walk before I came over here this afternoon, and I did a quick 5K walk. I get into my walk, and there's that period of time where you go like, oh man, I'm just in my rhythm, I can do this. And it happens when you're working out, when you're running, when you're cycling, when you're doing something. That's when our body, the production of C10 kicks in. And C10 actually changes our metabolic profile in our body. So what we want to do is put our body into fat burning mode. That's 65% of our maximum heart rate. And then move it up, not over 80%, but when we move it up. And so we want to get at that 25-minute mark. What happens metabolically in our body, we switch from fat to fat and sugar burning. Now, what that does is it sends a signal to your body to flood your body with C10. And it actually causes, so Carrie, I hope you're still listening, it causes inflammation throughout your body. It's an inflammatory process that we do not want to stop. If you're someone who's sick right now, if you have a chronic illness, whatever it is, one of the best things you can do is as much mobility as you can possibly do. Now, I know that some people they have a very, very difficult time, but the more immobile you are, actually the easier it is to get your heart rate into that range. And how do you know you're in that range? Get yourself a heart rate monitor. So it's very easy. So somebody that's like my brother, who's 78 years old, it would be very easy for him to get into 65% and stay at that, even though he's uses a mobility aid to walk with. But he could very quickly get into that and flood his body with C10. When you flood your body with C10, it literally sends a message to not produce C6. In other words, we stop this decay process. We slow down the aging process. And it doesn't matter what age you are. And this also relates to a clinical trial I was involved in years ago where we used people over the age of 90. Everybody in the clinical trial was over the age of 90. And literally what we were trying to do is see if we could stop osteoporosis. And we used some mineral supplements and light exercise. And we have these people, and we chose people who were mentally not competent. And the reason we did that, then we didn't have to use a placebo group, a trial group. So these people were people that were immobile, they were non-communicative for the most part, and we would give them the supplement, and then they could follow an exercise program. And we got them just doing light exercise with weight bands, just elastic bands. So for them, though their body would interpret that as a very intense exercise. And they all got better. First of all, we stopped the osteoporosis in all of them, but they all got healthy on a better. Their overall health became better. Their quality of life improved. And our purpose wasn't to show that exercise improved your quality of life. There's been lots of studies since then to prove that exercise improves your quality of life, but there's never been a real defining amount of exercise. So what does it take? It takes 6 days a week. Yep, not 3 days a week, not going to the gym every second day. It takes two days of 45 minutes of weight training, some kind of resistance training where you're having your muscles exert themselves. Once again, keeping yourself within your heart rate of 65 to 80%, having your muscles exert themselves at least twice a week, 2 to 3 times a week, and the other 3 to 4 times a week doing something like walking, running, biking, cycling, paddling, doing something you like to do, find something you like to do, and doing that on a continual basis.
So those really short little 3-minute workouts don't cut it?
Those really short little 3-minute workouts. What they do, and Dr. Mercola has some workouts on his website and so on, where he does a 3-minute interval training. Those are great for people who are in shape. Their body will trigger the metabolic things I'm talking about at a much lower level of activity than the normal person. We're talking about the normal person. We're talking about the average person who's either working a job or maybe they're retired.
So they're fairly sedentary.
And they don't feel they're sedentary. That's the thing. Like even my friend who golfs every day, his body interprets that as sedentary because his heart rate doesn't get up for any extended period of time. He might have one hole where he's excited or something, but he's not sending that message through his cardiovascular system. Now here's what happens when C6 is in. That was a little bug. That wasn't a bug. When C6 is high in our body, it actually attacks our nervous system. And what happens, remember we had an event and we talked about falling down. That's because C6 has been attacking our nervous system. And people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s have a tendency to misjudge things. Misjudge a stairwell. Misjudge just walking out of a room and misjudge and hit the corner of the door on the way out. Misjudge things. Misjudge a sidewalk. Or they'll be walking the dog through the park and they'll just trip over nothing. That's because C6 has been literally causing your nervous system to go into hibernation mode. And you can wake your nervous system back up through exercise.
Rick McGrew was asking, is the exercising for more than 20 minutes, he was asking, is that when the endorphins kick in?
So endorphins do kick in. That's a separate thing. That's a great question, Rick, and we'll talk about endorphins one of these days. Endorphins are actually in response to the inflammation. So you have to have the inflammatory response. So what happens at the 25-minute mark is we get this metabolic change where our body has the ability to burn both fat and sugar at the same time. Ordinarily, we're burning either sugar, like our brain burns sugar mostly, doesn't hardly ever burn fat unless we're on a keto diet, and then it will burn fat because fat's available, and our neurons are very adept at burning sugar. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not against a keto diet. It's not for everybody, but I'm not against it. But that's what happens, is our body can switch and burn fat and sugar at the same time, which makes us feel really powerful, and it gives us that surge of energy because now we have the efficiency of fat burn, which gives us twice as much energy, more than twice as much energy as sugar, but we add in sugar burn to that. So all of a sudden, instead of burning, say, 9 calories per gram of fat, we're now burning 9 calories from fat, and we're getting 4 calories from sugar burn. So we have this extra added proportion there. If we do that for 45 minutes, we cause this inflammatory response in our body. The reason the 45 minutes is important is it takes that long for our body to literally use glycogen stores to the point where it's like, hey, we're running out of sugar. It doesn't want to give away all of our sugar. It never wants to do that. And that's one of the things that people struggle with when they first go on a keto diet, is getting their body actually to give up their glycogen stores so that the body will, and the body never does give up all of its glycogen, but it will give up enough that you can burn.
Just like in the refrigerator, we empty everything except the condiments. There's always condiments and stuff left in the fridge before we're going down to the freezer looking for something, or we go back to the grocery store, right?
It's true. And so we're looking for this inflammatory response. So once again, Carrie, inflammation or oxidative stress. We would call that oxidative stress, not free radical stress. Again, free radical stress is coming from your C6. It's something, excuse you, bless you on all that. It's something that is causing damage to your tissue, which results in pain, immobility, and other symptoms that you don't want in your body. So literally backing up my 40 years involved in this and going through the antioxidant phase of the world and using antioxidants sort of as an exclusive basis for increasing people's health, and then learning about glutathione, learning about fat and the body's ability to use fat, learning about the proper way to use a keto diet and all those things. all of those things. So many years ago, when I was in my 30s, I was studying about keto diet. Keto diet was actually taught by one of our professors at university years ago because it was a useful diet for people, for children with epilepsy. If you could get them off of sugar, you could stop their seizures. Same is true today for people with dementia. They're getting them off sugar. They're taking sugar out of their diet because, once again, our brain is very efficient at burning fat. So I learned about that years and years ago, but it's just sort of all come together in this last little while, as now we have information about cytokines. We've known cytokines are there, but it's sort of this thing like flavonoids. There's 44,000 flavonoids, and someday we may understand why we were blessed with 44,000 flavonoids. I don't know. But we're blessed with hundreds of cytokines in our body. There's main cytokines, and they literally fall under two categories. Some are for decay, and some are for life. And what we want to do is send messages to our body. Now, we're going into fall, and naturally, just naturally, because of less light, etc., we want to sleep more. We want to do less. This is the exact time when C6 would love to take over your body and make you less mobile. Next spring, when the sun comes out and you feel like going out and doing stuff, you're going to find that you're not as able to do stuff as you were last year because C6 has been causing your nervous system to hibernate. It needs a wake-up call. You can give your body that wake-up call. It takes consistency. It takes a daily activity. And I was going to say I'm sorry for that, but really, now that I understand that, I'm just so excited to be able to literally define for people, give them some parameters around exercise, what kind of exercise. And you can do anything. There's no better exercise than the one you love. That's the best exercise, the one you love. Harmony loves her, what's that thing called over there?
My Total Gym 1000.
Her Total Gym 1000. I have no idea how I would even use that thing. It's all cables and strings and whatever. And but
I love going for long walks as well. I'm currently looking after my girlfriend's dog. She's about 60 pounds and she likes to go for long walks and she's very healthy. So I was out walking for almost 2 hours with the puppy yesterday, and even I don't have a dog, I have birds, but I love going out for very regular walks around the lake that's in our area and going out for walks around the neighborhood and stuff, especially like when all the flowers are out. But then when the weather's cold, I still go out for walks on a very regular basis. I just go walking in our big, huge, massive mall. And I get the same cardio. So it has absolutely always been a priority for me to be doing strength training and to be doing regular cardio as well. But this is definitely next level in understanding how to support your body aging smart, because I don't know if you guys know, but I just celebrated my 40th birthday, August 23rd. Which is absolutely spectacular. I'm not gonna lie, I had a little bit of emotion leading into that. And so I ended up having a birthday party, which Alan and many other wonderful friends came to help me celebrate and everything. And it really did make me think about, you know, the kind of shape that my body was in and, you know, what I've done right and what I wanna do that's, you know, next level to support my body, because I know that the aging process is starting. And in all reality, I know that I am doing a lot of things right. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never done drugs. I, you know, eat a healthy diet in general. I'd say 98% of the time I'm eating really healthy, and then I like to go out and eat out with friends once in a while and have a creme brulee and that kind of thing. And I'm very aware of optimizing my glutathione and taking collagen and using the right skincare. But this is really next level. So, you know, it really makes you realize just how much you have to be active. And especially in the wintertime, like you said, because I am most definitely one of those people that really has to push myself in the wintertime to be physically active. I absolutely want to curl in my onesie under a blanket on the couch in the wintertime. And it is more like pulling teeth having to be physically active.
Can I give the ladies some really, really good news? Thank you for the birthday wishes, you guys. I really appreciate it. That's so sweet. Ladies, if you're worried about PMS, your husband's worried about, or boyfriend, or significant other is worried about PMS just as much as you are, what they found, these researchers that I've been in contact with, what they found is you can almost eliminate the PMS symptoms with working out. It will take away your PMS symptoms. And for guys, it will literally, so when we modulate the C10, C6 relationship in our body, it actually spreads out into our hormones. It actually spreads out into how much testosterone, how much free testosterone we have, how much estrogen, progesterone, etc. It spreads out into our hormones. This is a phenomenal area of research. We're going to talk more about this. And once again, the reason we're talking about it is cytokine C10 and its ability to do its job is largely regulated by optimal levels of glutathione in your body. So,
like everything else.
Like everything else. It's one of the 250 processes glutathione is responsible for. So, I guess one of us has to go shut off the camera.
What about menopause?
Absolutely. With menopause, so once again, if we can define the terms of exercise, and most people really struggle with this one. I did. When I first was listening to these guys talk, it went against everything I've heard about exercise. It's 6 days a week. It's at least 45 minutes. It's 4 days of what we used to call aerobic exercise and 2 days of real physical weight tension exercise. Now, if you can combine that, some of the research shows you can combine that. So people who do rowing, for instance. So one of the guys that I was communicating with, he's a rower, and he's combining cardio and aerobic exercise at the same time. That's just a bonus, really. That's a bonus. The basics are aerobics 3 to 4 times a week, weight training of some kind, tension exercises. Do them right. Do them slow. You're not going to the gym. Listen, you're not going to
do not jerk the heavier weights.
Jerk the weight. and don't go there to find a guy or a gal. Just go for yourself and worry about yourself in the gym. And for me, somebody my age, slower is much, much better. It's actually much better for everybody. Slower is better. Darren probably has something to say about this, but slower is the best, as it is with everything. Slower is better. So this is really one of the keys to smart aging, and like Harmony likes to talk about. So anyway, cytokines, it's been a pleasure.
I'm not done. I have to show you guys something that came out of my garden just before our live event. I want to show you what happens when you grow your vegetables and you sprinkle them with a little bit of amino acids to optimize glutathione.
This is incredible. This is so wow.
Check out my zucchini, you guys. So we planted this amazing garden in the springtime, and amongst many things, we planted zucchini. My lovely roommate, Susanna, she actually started gardening in our backyard last year, and we've been working together to garden and everything. And she just went into the garden and pulled this massive zucchini out of our garden. I've never seen anything this large in my life, so I guess we're gonna have zucchini noodles for the next while. So you can see how incredibly healthy this zucchini is. So just think about how healthy your body is and how strong you're gonna be when you optimize your glutathione. So you guys, I can't believe how many of you guys have shown up and who is all giving us love and support. I love to see the new people who are joining us. Again, if you want to see more of our live events, absolutely like our page and follow us, because then you'll actually get notifications when we go live. If you have any questions for us and you're watching the video and we're not live anymore, or you just happen to have questions for us, you can message us on the Glutathione Authority Facebook page, and Al and I will absolutely get back to you as quickly as we can. We are very attentive. So thank you so much to the new guys, and we love each and every one of you who sees us on a regular basis. Thank you so much for coming back to give us love. And some of you were pestering us, wondering if we were coming back in the first place. We always take a break in the summertime, but we are very happy to be back. So we will see you guys next week, same place, same time, and it's going to continue to get darker and darker because we're heading into the winter. But let's all get active. Just because it's getting darker and colder doesn't mean we have to become sedentary. So we love each and every one of you, and we'll see you guys again very soon. Bye, guys.